Behind me is Kerry Getz Porsche Cayman, and in today's video, we're gonna take it from this to this. Hey, this is Bryan. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at KiesMotorsports.com. Yes, that is right. Kerry Getz got rid of his F31 328 and traded it in for a little bit of an upgrade to a Porsche Cayman. And in today's video, we're going to transform it. We're going to be lowering it, putting a new bumper on, a new wing, and more. So sit back, get ready, and let's go. Now, just to set the expectations, what we're going to be doing to Kerry's car today, we are not going to be doing step-by-step DIY because our channel, as you know, has a primary BMW focus, but the Cayman is actually a car that a lot of BMW guys bump up to when they want to first get into Porsche. Tommy has one, Kerry has one, a few other people have one. They're really cool cars. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go through, we're going to do the install, we're going to do some time lapse, and if we find some helpful tips and tricks along the way, we'll stop the camera and we will let you know what they are. So with that, let's get started. Like I said, we have a bunch of parts. We have some of the parts here, some of the parts are not here yet. So today's video is actually going to be a compilation of a few days. So let's get started by lowering the car. Look how meaty these tires are. Track weapon right here. It just comes apart so easy. Now, the reason we decided to start on the rear of this car is because the front is pretty similar to what you do on like an F80 M3. You just basically undo the suspension, you have to loosen some control arms and whatnot, and then you can just duck it down and pull it out. With the rear, there's really not a way to do it without removing the axle, so you can either remove it here or way back there. This is easier access, so we're going this route. So the path of least resistance is going to be to remove the bolt down there. That bolt does control camber. So as you'll see, I pulled the axle, I pulled this control arm out, and then also we're gonna go back there. Always mark it if you're doing anything that involves messing with the alignment points. Otherwise, your car is gonna be a little bit out of whack. Now the car's gonna need to get aligned anyway because we are lowering it. But just to make sure you get it as close to normal as you can, always a good idea to mark that out. Okay. So that's loose. That's loose. The only thing securing it right now is the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Zach actually undo the top, and then I'm going to just pull this assembly all down. Make sure that we clear this arm here. Everything else is detached, so we should be good. And then we'll finish everything up on the table. We'll put the new springs on and then come back. Before we can actually drop it down, Zach loosen those. We're going to pull the rotor off so that we can try to press out the axle, or it's not gonna come off. All right, so now Zach's gonna go loosen those. We have the axle loose. What we ended up doing is we used our little puller instead of beating with a hammer, and it worked way better. Definitely the way to go, and you won't damage anything. All right, so here we can see our stock Cayman spring and then our aftermarket lowering springs. And for all the links to all the parts and tools, if you didn't know, we have them down in the description for you. So let's get this installed and put the side of the car back together. Now the question of the day is, do we need to compress the spring? All right, we didn't even need to compress it. All right, so at this point, we are done putting our new lowering spring on this side. We have the top torque down, and we have like the brake caliper torque down, but what you need to do whenever you're torquing down your suspension, you wanna make sure that everything is at your ride height to make sure that all of your bushings and whatnot are happy. And then especially this nut over here, there's no real way because this has an insane torque value to it. You need to actually put the wheel on, pop out your center cap, and then torque it when the car is on the ground. So we're not really going to be able to final torque everything until we actually get the wheels on, put some load on it, and then we can actually go down and torque everything down. But besides that, everything else is done, it's put back together, and it's time to do the other side. That's loose. All right, so what we're going to do now that we have everything loose, and if you're looking for a DIY on this, Tommy on Garage has a really good video. Good job, Tommy. And we're gonna link that down in the description, but we're just doing high level. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my spring compressor, I'm going to compress the spring, and then we're going to duck it down under the fender, and we're gonna pull it straight off and do everything right there. Once we have the spring compressed, I'm going to release that top nut from the top, and then we'll bring it down, and then that way the spring will just come off easy. And then I'm not sure if we're gonna have to compress the new springs or not. A lot of times you will have to compress those on as well. The rears on this car we didn't, but sometimes the fronts are a little funky. So with that, here we go. We're just gonna move this piece. Tight. So normally you take the brake caliper off because you have a short brake line, you rock it out. But I thought it'd be fun to do it a different way. So I'm actually gonna see if I can get it up through this hole. It's going to be a little bit more maneuvering, but I think it's completely doable, so we're gonna give it a shot. See? You know, when you watch a YouTuber do something, you're like, I've never seen anyone do it like that before. That's what just happened. All right, so now we're gonna take the spring. I'm just going to carefully twist it in here. This is the most fun way to install springs by far on a Cayman. Now, when you have the top hat and you're going to install it, make sure that the end of the spring goes here. So a lot of times you're gonna have to reposition which direction it's facing. So just to give you a little bit of a heads up. So for example, this is going to go in like this. I need that to spin around. To be roughly there. Boom. All right, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to put my compressor back on. We're going to compress the new springs. It's just a little too tough for us to push it up. And then Zach is going to tighten those 3 bolts on the top. We're gonna raise this up after we get it compressed, and then we're gonna put that top nut on. And then we're done this side, and we're gonna do the same on the other side. Now that the springs are installed, it is time to install this unbelievable looking GT4 wing. Now with this, as you can imagine, you do actually have to drill and rivet it to the trunk lid of the car. So with that, I need Gary's help, so let's get started installing it. Now for the GT4 wing, Kerry asked us to just center it in the middle of the trunk, so that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be measuring 1,000 times before we start any drilling. And as you can see here, we are going to draw everything out, get everything perfect. Then we will drill and then rivet it in. Now with these cars, you may know that it has an active aero piece in the back. The spoiler actually lifts up and goes back down. So we do need to disable that so it doesn't A, look silly, and B, hit the GT4 wing. So if you're taking on this project, highly recommend one of these. I forget what it's called. It's kind of like a punch. Basically, it's spring loaded. So what you do is you press, and then once it gets to a certain point, it'll actually strike and it'll leave a little indentation. And then what you do is you take that indentation, and that's where your guide is now for your drill bit. So when you go to start to drill, it doesn't wander all over the place. So everything is dead center. So with that, what we're gonna do, I'm going to lightly drill this out. Then we're going to rivet the one side on, and then we're gonna move on to the other. Perfect. All right, with the help of these guys, we got the GT4 wing on, and it looks amazing. We're gonna show you more later. But before we do, let's rip off that front bumper, gently of course, and then replace it with the GT4 bumper. So if you've taken a bumper off before, these bumpers are pretty standard. There's one really funky clip, especially if you're coming from BMW. This is the one clip that's gonna throw you off. It's this little metal tab right there. What you do is you take a pick tool, you loop it through the middle. Can't really see what I'm doing here. Like that. And then you pull it out. So that's what it looks like. So it's a little bit funky. It goes like this, so the flap actually curves in towards the car. We're going to remove this one next. Whoops. It's gone. All right, there we go. All right, at this point in the process, Gary and I are finished prepping the GT4 bumper for Kerry's car. Now, when you remove the bumper, you don't necessarily need to remove the headlights. However, when you're reinstalling a bumper, it's always a really good idea. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna show you how to do it. Now, unlike a BMW where it's like a 4-hour process to change the headlights out, with this, it's like a 4-second process. So in your frunk, you will find this little toolkit, and you will find this little tool that looks like this. And all you need to do is take this tool, put it through this oval hole over here, and it goes over here, connects to this little lever system here, and that's all you need to do. Just turn it 180, and then the headlight's gonna pop out. Just disconnect that harness from the back, and you're done. So now that you have a rough idea how to do it, let me show you actual time on the other side. All right, on this side, we're gonna lift up this little flap, feel for that connection. And as I start to pivot this up, you're gonna see it automatically pushes the light out. How cool is that? It makes it so easy. Then you just take the light, maneuver it out, and there's a little harness over here that you need to disconnect. Just take this, pull it off, and then set your headlight in a safe place. We didn't want it to look like cookies and cream through the vent, so we're painting it black. So as you can see, adding the wing, the diffuser, the bumper, wheels, and a couple other odds and ends, this car is completely transformed and looks absolutely incredible, especially with those nice gold wheels instead of the stock ugly silver ones. So anyway, once again, my name is Brian, that's Gary, that's Zach behind the camera. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. For any links to parts and tools we used in today's video, be sure to see the description. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe. Check us out at KiesMotorsports.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.